It's often easy to say specific things like you need to practice or hone your skills when playing video games, but in esports, there's much more to it than actually just thinking about what's in the game. Students often struggle with how to express which type of skills they're actually developing in the first place in the context of outside the game. And if you've ever wondered the difference between macro and micro, well, this is the video for you, so let's get into it. Welcome to this week's video. Glad that I'm here. So, what are the skills that we're talking about for esports? If we were to put them into a simple list, it would look something like this. Fine motor skills, coordination, reaction and vision, problem solving, critical thinking, and finally, communication, which I suppose we could split into verbal and non-verbal. More on this in a moment. So first, let's talk about communication. As we've said, communication can be both verbal and non-verbal. Let's put that into context. It's obvious your intent if you shout a call out or command to a teammate in a game, but in high intensity esports environments where every single piece of information could mean the difference between winning and losing, good players develop ways to communicate non-verbally. If you have a crew of people you play games with, such as your friends, over a long period of time you may have noticed that sometimes you can tell what your friend is going to do before they actually do it. In some cases they might have a tell, such as positioning, or other things that they do with their character that show you that they're ready to do what you think they're going to do. For example, in the following clip you can see that the allied Warwick uses one of his dash abilities to show that he's ready to help us engage, and this actually helps us win, because if he just walked in, we wouldn't have known if he was going to commit or not. A good case of non-verbal communication. So, now we've covered communication, what are we going to do next? Well, typically we can separate all esports skills into two categories, and you've probably heard of these categories before. Macro and micro. But what do they actually mean? Macro refers to any skill which is related to the management of in-game information being given to you and how you interpret it in what you do. Micro skills refer to any skill which is related to the controlling of the player character, and sometimes when being called on casually is called mechanics, which is something that you've more than likely heard before, but there's a little more to it than that.
Hell of a job, Spartan. Be so careful with that thing.
Micro skills largely rely on dexterity and fine motor skills, with some muscle memory thrown into boot. Examples of micro skills include things like when a player saves a goal in Rocket League, hits a skill shot in League of Legends, or headshots an enemy in Halo or Valorant. The player has utilised their micro skills to achieve progress towards the victory condition. A list of full micro skills include crosshair placement, accuracy, player character control, skill shot usage, reactions, muscle memory, and actions such as combo inputs in fighters or damage rotations in MMORPGs such as World of Warcraft. If we look at some micro skills in the following clip, we can see that in Halo Infinite, sliding at the bottom of the stairs where it hits a flat surface causes the player character to get launched forwards. This is an example of muscle memory and fine motor skills to get the sprint just right with the slide to make and close the gap to the enemy, getting a successful kill with the energy sword. If we want to start looking at macro skills, these rely more on your ability to apply knowledge and to think critically in your situation and treat the match as a problem to be solved or a puzzle to be completed. For example, choosing to spend or go eco in Valorant, rotating correctly after a failed attempt at shooting in Rocket League, or the build choice or lane switching environment in League of Legends, or even managing enemy spawns in arena shooters like Halo and Unreal Tournament. In all of these situations, game knowledge has been used in a different way to affect the outcome of a series of events over a longer period of time, again moving towards the victory condition. A list of macro skills could include build crafting, map rotations, game sense, combo knowledge, frame data, weapon time to kills, character strengths, character counters, and optimum damage rotations or ability cooldowns on item build paths, and values in games like Counter-Strike, Valorant, and League of Legends. As you can see, macro tends to be much more of a mind game and uses lots of different information together with problem solving and critical thinking skills to come to the best outcome. We're reaching the end of the video for this week, so to summarise, what have we gone over? Well, we've talked about the core skills used in esports in different genres of games and given examples all the way through. We've started to realise that different titles might use the same skills, but they might utilise them in different ways. We've gone over that micro skills are how a player will control their character in the game, relating to things like mechanics, fine motor skills, and muscle memory. We've talked about macro skills, which relates to how the player uses information that's given to them in both problem solving and critical thinking to help them towards the win condition. And we started to realise that great players are able to combine both of these elements to make something truly special. Amazing players will apply this information and create new scenarios and metas, which is what you usually see in professional gameplay, or if you go on lots of websites and read lots of guides. Thanks for watching this week's video. Hopefully you've enjoyed this little insight into the first part of Unit 2 Learning Objective A for Level 3 BTEC Esports. In the coming weeks we're going to be looking at things like characteristics of high performing teams and how exactly do you carry out a good performance analysis. We're also going to carry on looking at some of the stuff in Unit 1 that we've not quite finished yet, but with the start of the term there'll be lots of new students to join us on BTEC Esports this year. Especially if you're in the student champions this year, the teams that I run might even run into you, and if that's the case, then good luck, and I hope we have a good game. This has been Van Adam, this is VE Sports. See you later.